Hello, hello. How's it going today? I am presenting a new setup for deploying n8n. I'm also going to touch lightly on a custom fork of n8n because that's what I'm using right now for fun. Um, this setup was originally inspired by the fact that, okay, so n8n, when you're deploying it locally or on your like a custom community instance, it's meant for, for personal use and like your own within your own business. So in this case, I do have like demos and stuff like that I need it to be reliable and to run quickly and efficiently and multiple agents running at the same time. And if you're running more than three things concurrently on a vanilla install, one click install on Coolify, that's the platform I use on Hostinger, um, you'll start to see some slowdown. Like you'll won't run as nice as you want if you're running things more than, let's say, like three things concurrently that are working. So a way to deal with that is to implement workers, and that's like lightweight instances of n8n that do work. They could be instantiated, appear and disappear, and we'll go over that really quickly. So I did the testing with these kind of specs. When I talk about these values like 30, what I say 30x more powerful system. Okay, it might be rounded up. I'm not sure. I don't remember how the math is, but it is much more powerful, much more efficient. And the testing I did was on this setup right here, 8 GB RAM at 4 core CPU. And I set it to I think it's 4 GB swap space, not two. And this is having adequate storage, obviously, for the platform. In this case, the setup I have also includes a backup system, which means like right now, the way with one click install and Coolify, the way you could back it up is either back up the individual workflows or you could just back up your whole server. Those are the easiest ways to do it, the most straightforward without building anything extra. In this case, we have a script where it will actually back up full instance in like its place. So you don't have to back up the whole server, and and you don't have to back up all the workflows individually or create some sort of workflow that backs up the workflows, which is one way of doing it. So it's a whole system for backing up as well. There's extra security layers. It's also meant to deploy locally as well with security layers. So I could, if I want to access my n8n on my PC or my laptop, then I could access it through ngrok, and then in order to access it, I have to authenticate with Google. So it's exposed to the internet. If I leave it running, it's exposed to the internet, but only accessible through authentication and then password. So there's two layers of security. So what I built here, it has a dynamic worker system. Starts with 3 base level workers, and then if things start getting heavy, let's say you have like 45 processes running once, it'll instantiate more workers as needed. There's a truckload of scripts, excessive maybe, excessive. I'd say excessive in documentation. It could be refined down, to individual usage. Let's see here. So I talked about the workers here and the efficiency. I'll make this available, this document. I don't want to bore people by going through every single thing here. So here's an example with the normal load. So again, a one-click deploy on Coolify n8n is there's no workers. It's just the main instance, and that's it. With this, you get a minimum of 3 workers, and you can adjust that value through the environment file. And then as spike hits, they'll instantiate more workers. Okay, see here. Oh yeah, I did some tuning on Postgres. I call it Postgres, but PostgreSQL, however you want to pronounce it. So I did some testing. I was able to get about a 5% improvement over a generic vanilla Postgres install. So yeah, we have that tuned. Also, yes, the security layers I mentioned earlier. We talked about that. And then also, when you're running it locally, obviously you can use local AI. It's very easy to set up a Llama. You can even have, if you use Cloud Code or any of the agentic CLIs like Gemini or Codex or whatever you want. Even Augie, I think you could do it with, augment codes. Cursor has a CLI, it could do that, or you could do it with Cursor without using the CLI. Windsurf, whatever your flavor is. You could just ask them to ask the AI to, hey, please set up a llama for me. I want you to set up a llama. And then, the optimal way probably to do it so that other apps can use it safely is to deploy a llama via Dockerize it. And then you can set up a little API and access your Olama that way. So I set up on my local computer. I'm going to change this to, because I think there's a Qwen 2.5 coding. I want to change it to that. I also have DeepSeek for extra reasoning. And then I have Nomic Embed. That's for embedding for RAG. I run those models locally. So it's zero cost. I mean, the cost of electricity, basically. And so I could run AI completely free that way. I mentioned it before, the backup system, right? The setup has a local backup system, and you could sync it to whatever the popular services, like Azure or whatever you want, or even locally, or Google Drive, whatever you want. Let's see. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of scripts for monitoring and checking. Like if something goes completely sour and what's going on with a local, I'm sorry, with a coolified deploy, one-click deploy, then often what you'd have to do is basically just recover from a backup. And that means the server backup unless you set up something special, right? In this case, it's one-click, backups, one-click backup and one-click recovery. And then let's see what else we have. Operational guides. Also, it's a setup for running locally on my PC, which is WSL2 Ubuntu, which is basically Linux, right? So that means you could run it also on a Mac, any system where you can set up a virtual machine. And obviously the most common deploy environments are all Linux based nowadays, or like I guess always have been, as far as I know. And then I'll touch on this real quick. I set up, this is an experiment. There's interest from a third party of like, hey, what is it, what's involved in customizing n8n? Like, what if I want to customize a look and change it up? So as part of the system, and this is all open source, by the way, this is all free. There's not charging for any of this stuff. This is the like, I call it the Launchpad system right here. This is the code, open source. It's one variable. You could set it to use just whatever the n8n latest image is from n8n themselves, or you can set up your own custom fork, and it's just you change one variable and you'll deploy from that fork. All right. So I created a custom fork with design. I wanted to play with design first. There's other things I have ambitions of playing around with, like they use for their agencies LangChain. Well, how about what if I want to make an n8 system that is pedantic as an agent system? Because that'd be fun. I do like pedantic a lot. So yeah, that's something I'm interested in, and there might be some client interest. So yeah, I wanted to show you real quick. Let's see if I can set this up so it's easier to see. Okay, you see the comparison. This is a customized n8n called Obsidian Forge. It's open source, custom fork. I just did a merge to see how hard that was, upstream merge with n8n themselves, because by the time I'd set this design up, they had already done 100 commits to the main repo of n8n. So I had to merge it, and there was zero issues merging. It was AI basically did it. AI did it. Not basically, AI did it. And you can see like it is a different font, right? It's a little bit, it's nuanced, right? It's nuanced. You can see the coloring scheme is a little bit different. Like if I highlight here, this is n8n on this left-hand side over here. You can see here, like the trail here is a different color. The highlight color is different. All right. Okay, so testing 1, 2, 3. You see it has the different surrounding here, and there's a little thing pulsing in the middle right there. It's a different look, You see the check marks different there from a different generic n8n. Also, when the executions has a different background, you see different background color. It's a lot of little nuanced customization. Also within the within what I call these like coding fields, right? Is a different font. You see this is a different font than normal. Oh, here, talking about the custom SAS fork, but custom n8n fork. Again, I tested it for visual design stuff, but my personal interest would be more in like creating more of a much more robust, customized system for agents. Like again, switching maybe from LangChain to Pedantic. Not that there's anything wrong with LangChain. It just there's a certain preference in scenarios for Pedantic. And yeah, that's what I want to cover. There's again, the motivation was primarily workflows, workers, scaling workers. That way, my personal / professional deploy on Coolify would be robust and able to scale and handle lots of process at once in the situation where I need them, which isn't very often, but it's good to have that security and also the backup system. So those are the big motivations. And I'll share this with y'all and have a great day. And we'll talk later about the custom fork. Take care. Bye.